Skew. Skew comes up when you talk about histograms. There's three different types of skew. When the mean is bigger than the median, we say that the data is skewed to the right. When the mean is less than the median, we say the data is skewed to the left. That's Beyonce's favorite direction. And if the mean equals the median, we say that the data is symmetric. Now, the data being symmetric gets its own two sections. I lied. It gets two sections. And just as a note, the way the book is arranged, I will be teaching these two magical sections, 3.9 and 3.10, along with Chapter 2, because I think it fits better in Chapter 2, in my humble opinion. And that's what we're going to see as a normal distribution. Now let's tackle some more terms. We got mid-range. The data, the mid-range of the data is the average of the lowest and the highest values of the data set. Now, you're going to, unfortunately, hear the other word later on called the range. Do not confuse mid-range and range. Defined in mid-range, you have to add and then divide by 2 because it's the average of the smallest and the highest. The range is something else. You don't add and divide by 2 for the range, only for the mid-range. And lastly, the mode. This one's the easiest. It's basically the element that appears the most. The number of times an element appears we call the frequency. So that's why the formal definition is the mode is the element with the highest frequency. It's possible that you don't have a mode. For instance, if everything appears just once, there's no mode. It's possible that two data entries have the same highest frequency, so we would say that the data set is bimodal. There might also be trimodal and quadmodal and T-mobile and I don't know, but it's very rare. Usually only one or two is the you'll have a mode for. Oops. I didn't realize that was the end of the slide. Now, as far as finding the mid-range, let me go back a little bit. As far as finding the mid-range and the mode, if you go back to the example there where we talked about there it is. The very first example where you found the median and you had an 87 and a 78 and a 73. Well, going back to that video, you'll notice that the smallest number there was 22 and the largest number there was 100. So 22 plus 100 is 122. Divided by 2 is 61. So the mid-range for the set, 87, 78, 73, yada yada, would have been 61. Also for that same set, we did have a mode. The number 73 appeared twice. So 73 would have been the mode. You'll always have a mid-range mode again. Mode of the four, you don't have to have a mode. All right, that's really it for 2.1. It was just those four terms. But as a comment, again, the big thing, the big takeaway, well, mean is going to be very important. But do not confuse mid-range with this other thing called range. And range is something you talk about in section 2.2. Enjoy.